Welcome, everybody, to the Sonoma Spiel. My name is Tim with the Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau. Newsflash, today I did not go to the farmer's market. I repeat, today I did not go to the farmer's market. I know I always say that on every Friday. I didn't make it. I had to have a plumber come to my house. Whole different story, but listen to what. Earlier this week, I went to Las Vegas. And Las Vegas is one of those places that you can go to for maybe 12, 13 hours before you become a raging misanthrope and totally angry and just like, it was for a trade show. And Las Vegas, if you're listening, you can buy ads on this and change my mind. But listen, here's what happened. I ate some of the food there. People said it was really good food. We are spoiled in Sonoma Valley for really good food. So today I came back, went down the valley, stopped at Sonoma Eats, real Mexican food. I got four tacos. It cost me $12. They were fabulous tacos. I got the carnitas, and then I got the al pastor, and then I got the chicken. Phenomenal, right across the street from the Fairmont. Really good, fresh food. As I was leaving, Haley, who's one of the owners with her husband Ephraim, she was bringing actual tomatoes they grow in their garden to put on the actual food. It tasted so much better than Las Vegas, and it's just like things are so much better in Sonoma Valley. Which reminds me, today I have a very special guest. Today I have a guest. I know every week I say I have a very special guest, but sometimes we talk about special wines and beautiful and amazing things. So today, listeners, for you, I've got Rob Lorenz with Talisman Wines. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Rob, have you been to Las Vegas?
I've been to Las Vegas plenty, yes. More than enough.
But you choose to live here in Sonoma Valley.
I do, yes.
Wise choice. Wise choice. Rob, you're with Talisman Wines. Mm-hmm. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
That is correct.
Okay, because
yes.
it could be like some French, like Talisman.
No, Talisman.
Talisman Wines.
Yeah.
And where is that, Rob?
It's in Glen Ellen, right in downtown Glen Ellen, in one of the oldest commercial buildings in Glen Ellen. It's a building that's been all kinds of different things. It's probably been things we shouldn't talk about.
That'll be on our dark history of Glen Ellen podcast.
Hotel and exactly.
Hotel
with
and
activities.
Okay.
Yeah, hotel with activities, a speakeasy. Yeah,
really,
general store, all kinds of stuff. And we've been there for since 2012.
Okay,
so.
And Glen Ellen, for those that don't know, if you're in the city of Sonoma, the sprawling, enormous metropolis of 9,000 people or 10,000 people, Glen Ellen is a very small town. I don't think you even have a stoplight in town.
No.
There's a stop sign. I think there's a stop sign.
A stop sign. Right? Yes, there's a couple of them.
There's two stop signs.
There is.
And maybe even three if you're counting the one that comes through the SDC.
No, there's definitely three. There's a few more, probably, somewhere.
Spread out. But Glen Ellen, most people don't know. If you take Highway 12 north from the city of Sonoma, you actually have to bow in a little bit on a road called Arnold Drive. That's the main road that kind of zigzags through Glen Ellen. And tell me what's in Glen Ellen. We'll get to Talisman in a second, but what are some of the big attractions in Glen Ellen?
What's in Glen Ellen? I would say the saloon. So the Jack London Saloon is a big attraction for folks. Right. There's a Michelin-rated restaurant called the Glen Ellen Star there.
Fantabulous place with Airy.
Very hard to get into, as you might imagine, but excellent food there. They are going to reopen, as I understand it, the Glen Ellen Inn. Oh, right. They're doing some sort of renovations or something. Yeah, they're doing some renovations. The cabins are back open. This dates back to the 17th fire, I think. Okay. No, it dates back to COVID. Choose your tragedy. Doesn't everything? That wheel. Yes, doesn't everything. But they're not. My understanding is they're not going to reopen the restaurant just as a bar. Okay. So those are the three, and then the Glen Ellen market is just a great market. Little market there, good little store there, and then sort of on the north end of town, there's a whole sort of building area with a few wineries. And the Jack London Village. Jack London Village. Exactly. And Jack London, I think, plays a big part in Glen Ellen. Is there a reason for that? That's his spot. That's the man's home. Jack London State Park and Jack London Saloon and the whole thing. Yeah. And he's literally buried in the state park. So I guess he is tied pretty closely to that. Absolutely. That's what it. Rob, tell me, are you from California, from Sonoma? How'd you come into this place? Complicated question. Okay. My dad was IBM, so I grew up kind of everywhere. Yeah. Graduated high school in California. Okay. So been in California since, I don't know, early 80s. Were you down in the South Bay? San Jose, yeah. Yeah, down at the Almaden Research Center, building weird lasers and stuff like that. I lived in Almaden. Did not build weird lasers. We were neighbors. I grew up down there. I went to the all-boys school there. Bellarmine? I did. I went to Pioneer. Oh, my. You went to Pioneer? Yes. We were from the same neighborhood. Get out of here. For real. Yeah, that's crazy. Good for you. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I don't know if you've been back there. Nothing's changed. It's all the same. No, it's like totally different. Yes, I have been back there, and yes. Pioneer had a great band.
I got to tell you something like that. I don't know how it was. I know now they have really good music. I have some friends I grew up with on my street. Their kids went there.
Yeah.
They have a good program. But even my friends that went to Pioneer they were much better at music than our school had a lot of other good qualities, but music was not one of them.
Now it's an academic magnet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Pioneers.
I know, it's really funny.
Which is really weird.
A little different than...
It wasn't that way. Let me just say on the record, it's not that way when I was there.
No, but go Pioneer Mustangs. The Mustangs.
Yes, exactly.
I went to a homecoming there. So good
Look
at that, man. That's fun.
How about that? Just find that out.
So your dad was for IBM. And probably up that weird cycle of tech down in the South Bay. You have a job, you're laid off. You have a job, you're laid off. He made it through.
His whole career, he just got moved around a lot. So, born in Maryland. I was born in Maryland, Virginia, New York, California, Germany, California.
Wow.
And then when he wanted to move again, the kids said, we're done. We're staying in
We're
California.
staying here, Dad. Yeah.
So you can move, but we're staying here.
The weather's kind of nice. It's a good place to be at. How did you come to end up in the wine business then?
Yeah, kind of by happenstance. I went to Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo with the
Go Mustangs again.
Again with
Double
the
Mustangs.
Double Mustangs.
Okay.
Got a journalism degree in sports journalism and worked for about a year in that area. And then I decided I didn't really want to cover high school sports on Friday nights for the rest of my natural life. And I had a friend who worked at Clos du Bois in Healdsburg, and she said, well, why don't you come, we're hiring, why don't you? And I said, I know nothing about wine. And she said, you don't have to know anything about wine. You just need to know how to talk to people, and we'll teach you the rest of the stuff. And that's how I got into the wine business.
For real? Were you literally doing print journalism for high school sports and stuff like that?
Yeah. Atascadero News.
Oh, really? That's pretty
I was the sports writer, editor, photographer. Which I don't recommend. Don't edit your own stuff. It's not good.
It's hard to edit your own stuff. You fall in love with your own prose.
Yeah, and you miss things.
You're like, who's the idiot that wrote that headline? Like,
it's me.
I'm the idiot. Yeah. So you started in Clos du Bois.
I started at Clos du Bois when they were still located in Healdsburg, in downtown Healdsburg, before they moved to Geyserville. That was my first job in the wine business. And like I said, I knew nothing. And I had people who trained me to learn, and other people who said things wrong on purpose so they could hear me repeat them.
Oh, really? That was good.
Yeah. It's fun for them. Not so much fun for me.
The Chardonnay is supposed to have a vinegar aftertaste. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That means it's properly aged.
But I suck at it. And now here I am 30 plus years later. So here we go.
And then, so have you worked at more, sounds like a few different wineries.
Yeah.
And you kind of moved around and done stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What do you enjoy about working in the wine business?
The people. Yeah.
Really?
I that tasting room itself, that first job I had, is all about people and connecting with people and meeting people from other places and introducing them to wine and speaking with them at their level. So not, I'm a big believer in not sort of cramming wine facts down people's throats and making them feel stupid, because it's not really about that. It's about enjoyment. And so that sort of led to my other jobs and into management jobs, and as a wine club manager at Sterling, right when wine clubs were becoming a thing, explain this wine. This is interesting. We get this question all the time in the tasting room. Yeah. Because people say, "Do you want to join our wine club?" It's like it's a secret clubhouse. You go in the back and drink wine, or what does it mean? What is a wine club, and how do they work, and why should someone consider one? Yeah. So a wine club is basically a way to stay connected with the winery when you go back home, and so. And that's the way it should be viewed. So, if I come to the winery and it's a beautiful August day, and I'm from Iowa, and I get my next wine club shipment, it comes to my door in February, it reminds me of that time, right? So it's a way to stay connected with the winery. Basically, most wine clubs work in a sort of it's not even an allocation model, but it's a model that says you're going to get a certain amount of shipments per year, and in exchange, you're going to get these benefits. You're going to get a discount on the wine. You're going to get free tastings. You're going to get invitations to events. All these other kinds of things, depending on the winery. Right. So that's really the sort of the basic rudimentary definition of a wine club. Right. Every winery structures theirs a little bit differently, although they've things that we did at the very beginning are not as common. Sterling used to ship wine every month, and that was
every month.
A lot. So
so now it's usually quarterly. I think
quarterly. Some we do twice a year. A lot of wineries will do 3 times a year because it's a lot of weather affects things.
I've heard you don't want to ship when it's too hot. back to Dubuque in August. It might be a little warm.
Got to be careful when your wine's going through Phoenix. Yeah.
Oh, that's smart. That's right. Yeah. Otherwise, it is that vinegar. No, exactly. Chardonnay's supposed to taste that way.
Right, exactly.
And okay, so that's what a wine club is. And my understanding is people can come to a winery. Maybe they go to 3 or 4 different wineries in their visit. They can join 2 wine. They don't have to join every wine club.
No.
You have that chance to try different wines. Sometimes you can buy a bottle right from the tasting room if you like it. But you're like, well, I don't know if I want to. I like their Chard, but I'm not going to join for their Cab. I wasn't a big fan or something.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too to remember about most wine clubs now, it used to be that you got what you got. So, hey, this is your shipment, and that's what's coming in your box, and that's the end of it.
Okay.
Now it's a lot more flexible and customizable. Like,
got it.
We tell our members at Talisman, we say, hey, these are the wines we're releasing for you exclusively.
Okay.
But you don't have to take those if you don't want to. Just let us know what else if you want something different, and that's fine too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's transition to that. Talisman Wines. First of all, I was telling someone there's a winery called Talisman Winery, and it sounds like something like, oh my God, you open that bottle and then like an evil genie comes out or something happens. Like, you opened the talisman,
It's not far off, actually, the way that name came about.
Really?
So Scott Rich and Marta Rich are the owners of Talisman Wine, and Scott has his American Indian mother gave him a charm, or talisman that was blessed by a medicine man in their tribe, and he sort of took the medicine wheel part of the talisman and stylized it a little bit, and that's how the logo came to be.
Okay.
Yeah, and it sort of relates to how wine is made as well. So, sort of all kind of ties together that way. Yeah,
that's a much better story.
It is.
I think I
probably didn't tell it very well.
No, it's a good one. Like me, like the the D&D kind of like world, like it's a talisman or something like that. Well, tell me a bit about the winery, what kind of wines they offer, and then about the experience.
Yeah, so the winery has been around as a brand since 1993, so it goes way back. It's all Pinot Noir all the time, okay. So we only make Pinot Noir, and that includes Rosé of Pinot Noir, and we also make Pinot Blanc.
Okay.
That's recent, but it goes all the way back to 1993. So Scott and Marta both have a very deep history in the wine business. He's been a winemaker for a long, long time at places like Mondavi and at Etude, and she grew up in the business as a salesperson. So she worked for Mondavi for 18 years and eventually was the Northern California head of sales for Northern California. And then she went to work for a company called Calera for another 14 years as their VP of sales. So they have a long, rich history of being in the wine business, and he's made Pinot Noir and Cabernet and other things for other wineries. They started their brand in 93, and until 2007, they made wine like wherever he worked. Oh, basically.
So they were like itinerant, like late at night he would sneak in with like a bunch of grapes and make his wine.
I don't think he had to sneak in. I think he probably had permission, but
that's the boss.
Exactly.
So they didn't have their own production area.
No. So they so basically what happened was they for that first few years, actually not first few years until 2007, they grew their their following by mailing lists and having tastings in their home in Glen Ellen. So
they didn't have a tasting
room. They didn't have a tasting room. They didn't have a winery facility. They didn't have anything. They just had their wines.
They had a label and a dream.
They had a label and a dream and really good Pinot Noir. And so until 2007, when we took up a space on 8th Street South, there's a industrial complex there with a lot of wineries now.
Right.
They took up a space there in 2007 and then started making their wines there. Okay. For the interim 5 years, they also did tastings there.
Okay.
Basically in what is now Scott's office.
Yeah, and I know for people who don't know much about wine, and myself included, yes, there's that pastoral dream of vineyards, and we talk about the barefoot Italian girls all the time. But when you go to see an actual production facility, its food is being made. It's going to be very kept clean, and you got a very controlled environment. It's not the most romantic place at times to see production facility.
It's pretty industrial.
Yeah.
If you catch it at the right time, it's interesting.
It smells good during crush and harvest.
Sure.
I mean, I even smelled some fermenting on my way in, so someone's got some open top fermenters going right now.
This is the time of year for that, for sure. Yeah, now is the time of the activity, but it's not the way where we make wine and where a lot of wineries around us make wine. It's not the safest place to be because there's like forklifts zipping around and tanks and
it's an industrial process.
Absolutely,
and you have to be careful.
Yep.
And it's not, like I said, it's not super scenic because you want to be indoors. You don't want to be outside where stuff, can get in. So I'm glad that they were able to move into a tasting room.
So the tasting room came about in 2012, and we talked about the building already. And so they've been there since then. And their goal with that tasting room was to replicate what they did in their home in the early days, and so they wanted to feel like somebody's tasting wine in their home. So it's a very small space. We don't take groups. I mean, 8 is the max, but really it's 6.
Okay.
And it feels like the furniture and the way it's appointed feels like you're sitting in somebody's home.
Do you, when you're done, do you ask them to do the dishes?
Like, sometimes, yeah. Depends on how they behave.
This is just like home, so there's some leftovers, microwave those, and clean up after yourself.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, it's not quite that bad. I'll have to check after we're done here. There's a few tastings going on right now, but so it's and the way we operate there is a little bit differently than where I've been at other places. Is we don't tell people what they're going to taste, and a lot of times people will have a list of, hey, these are the 5 wines we're pouring today. We make 17 or 18 different wines from 11 different vineyards, and it's all Pinot Noir.
All Pinot Noir.
So people get confused by that because they think Pinot Noir is Pinot Noir,
right?
And even me, I was just like, I got to see this to believe it, because but it's not. It's much more nuanced than Cabernet is Cabernet and Merlot is Merlot and Pinot is Pinot, and so we make different style Pinots for people with different palates, and so we always find what it is that they like in terms of characteristics, and then we follow a path.
Okay.
And so not everyone tastes the same thing, and that's fine.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because normally, you're absolutely right. You have a little piece of paper. Here's our menu. Sometimes, like, here's a flight of reds, or here's a flight of whites, or here's our standard, and then we have a reserve and a library.
No, we don't do that. We want to make sure that people enjoy what they're tasting. And so if somebody says, we'll put 2 glasses in front of them, and they say, I really like this style better. It's lighter and, more airy and more fruit forward. Then we've got a few others in the bank that we can pour them that are similar.
Okay.
Instead of trying to jam something down their throat that's really a lot of backbone and really heavy that they're not going to like anyways.
I like this choose your own adventure tasting.
Yeah, it's pretty much how it is. Yeah.
That is smart.
And we do, and the beauty of our wines is that they hold up. So Pinot Noir, people sometimes think about Pinot Noir and they think it's light, doesn't age. We've got wines that still go back all the way to 93. And so,
really? Pinots?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because most people think of aging reds. It's usually Cab or Merlot, the Syrah, the big guys.
Yeah.
So you had some aged.
We had some people they bought 6 bottles of 2006 Pinot last week.
Really? You still have some?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have stuff going all the way back. Now, not a lot.
It's hiding in the nooks of their house in the corner.
That's not. You kind of hit it. There are inventory locations, and that is one of them.
Exactly. You're like, wait a minute, we did that tasting in the pantry that one time, so there's probably a couple bottles here.
Yeah. So that's really something unique that we offer. We're just releasing our 19s now, which is also unusual because a lot of wineries are serving 21 Pinots.
Yeah, I'm doing the math backwards. So, my understanding is a lot of times reds take longer to come out, but your Cabs, those are 4 years later.
A lot of times, yeah.
And Pinots about 2 years later, and you're
more frequently than not. Yeah.
And whites are usually about a year or so later.
Yep. Sometimes even rosés that are being harvested right now will be released in the spring. Sauvignon Blancs, same thing.
Okay, so early drink stuff.
But exactly. And then it's all about how long it ages. And for us, it's not just about aging in the barrel; it's also aging in the bottle so that it's ready to drink. So we just released 3 of our 19s to our wine club this month, and we'll do 3 more in the spring, and then we won't have any 20s, and then we'll have 21s. Yes,
that's what we got.
Yeah, nobody's got any 20 reds. Yes.
Tell me what you have here in front of us.
I have the 2018 Gonzales Vineyard Pinot Noir. This is a Russian River Valley Pinot Noir. See, there's the label. Beautiful.
Do the pop in the microphone. Ready?
All right.
Oh, that was great.
Was it loud enough?
Put it back in there.
Okay. Maybe violent. You want me to go violent?
Go.
There we go.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, it was a good one. I didn't spill it.
We could sell that to Hollywood.
Yes, the sound effects.
You got it?
I got it. I'll probably drip afterwards.
That's right. No, it's not.
So, Gonzales Vineyard is a Russian River vineyard. We work with a number of different Russian River growers. This one's happens to be out.
Oh, that's Pam. Wait. Yeah.
Yeah. You know her?
She's from South Africa. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
She's a big.
Super nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so they. We've made wine from their vineyard since, I want to say 2004. I might be a little bit off on that. But they're one of the 3 Russian River vineyards that we're going to be doing this dinner with on
So you got
November
that coming
11th.
up.
Yeah, that's we're doing a vertical dinner with our 3 of our Russian River growers. So it's 5 courses, and it's 3 wines, 3 vineyards, and 3 vintages from that vineyard.
Oh, wait, 3 times 3 is 9.
So 9 wines. Yes. 5 courses, 9 wines. Yes.
There's going to be a lot of wine there. And I've got, I'm going to put up the YouTube video here as people are watching. Yes. This is a very nice color. I am colorblind, so I always have a bad time explaining the color. So this is liquid.
Yeah, you're right. You're in the neighborhood.
Am I in the right there?
Yes, you are. What you can see in the glass is that it's kind of lighter in style. Mm-hmm. Gonzales is really delicate. We get really delicate fruit there, and it seems to be.
Oh wow!
It's not a. It's,
wow!
Yeah, very nice wine, but easy to drink. It's not got that sort of. Some people say like grouchiness. It's got a little backbone to it, but this is more. This is more not something you would necessarily have. It's like an aperitif.
I can see why there was the big push for Pinot. Why Pinot's kind of people say it's a finicky grape or finicky wine, but you got to chase the dragon to get the right Pinot. This is really amazing. Yes. This is good.
Yeah, it's good. It's it's actually one of my favorites of what we make, and that's we make a lot of different things, and they come in a lot of different styles. But
I'll hold this up to the video as well, so people know there. But
yeah, see, look, I drip right down the label, just like I always do.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's the key.
That makes
it's real.
Yeah, we know it's tasty,
and it's right there. You're so funny. So can you explain what vertical means? Vertical tasting.
Yeah, vertical means same vineyard or wine, different vintage. So in this particular case, for Gonzales, our first course is going to be. It's gonna come with a 2015, a 17, and this 18.
Gotcha. From the exact same vineyard.
Same vineyard.
And so you can kind of taste the differences.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that affects wine is the weather, right? Mm. So this year we were just talking before we came on about how this vintage is super super late because of the weather we had earlier in the year.
Right.
All of those things, the weather, especially, the soil doesn't change because it's the same vineyard, but the weather,
right, and the amount of precipitation,
how much rain did you get, how hot was it in the summer, when did it ripen, all those kinds of things affect what the wine tastes like. And so it's really interesting to put 15, 17, 18 in this case side by side and see the differences.
And are you going to do that? So you have different courses. Mm-hmm. We have 5 courses, but we have 9 wines. I'm going to hold this up.
So the first course is just hors d'oeuvres. We're going to do a rosé with that, one of our rosés. And then the second course is the Gonzales course, and that's 3 different Gonzales wines.
Oh, I see. So you're pouring little samples, perhaps. So we're not pouring like 8-ounce glasses.
There'll be plenty of wine there. We're not gonna run out.
That's right.
And then the second course is going to be wine from the Starscape Vineyard, which is another one of our Russian River vineyards. 14, 16, and 17. And then the third course will come with Sadie's, which is our third Russian River Valley vineyard. So again, 14, 15, and 17.
Okay.
So 9 different wines, 3 different vineyards, focusing on the Russian River. We make wines from a number of different regions, but the Scott's rule is basically if I can drive there in the morning, spend quality time, and be back by lunch, I'll consider it.
So I like the Scott ratio.
Yeah.
So you probably got Carneros, right?
Carneros,
which we're in right
wines,
now. Yeah. You've got Russian River. You've probably got what they call Petaluma Gap / Sonoma Coast / whatever you want to call that area down there. But you're only making Pinot, so you're not up there in Chalk Hill probably or Dry Creek because those are big cab areas.
Yeah, the furthest vineyard we have is our furthest vineyard partner we have is Weir, which is in Yorkville, south end of Mendocino County.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. But I like to tell that story because a lot of wineries, and there's nothing wrong with it, but a lot of wineries will, they'll have an Oregon Pinot or they'll have a Pinot from the Central Coast of California. Well, the Central Coast of California is 4 hours away from here.
Yes.
He can't do what he wants to do.
And he wants to be home in time for dinner.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We have rules, people.
Got to be home for lunch.
We have rules.
Yeah, those are the rules.
I actually really like that idea because it gives a sense of what they call a terroir, right? The place.
Exactly. And I think the other thing with him too is that he's so heavily involved in the vineyard before the grapes come in. Like he wants to be able to get there, and that's what he did for the last month. He's going to the vineyards and putting grapes in his mouth and saying
and testing it.
They're ready or they're not ready.
And that kind of speaks to the relationship that not every winemaker owns a vineyard.
Correct.
Right? It's not a farmer. And not every farmer makes wine.
Correct.
But oftentimes there's that partnership here. Mm-hmm. So it seems like in this case, with Talisman's Wines, they have relationships, for example, with the Gonzaleses and the different people, right?
Yeah, he's got
long-term
relationships. Yeah. Long-term relationships with people he likes to work with, basically. Yeah.
Got to be back in time for lunch.
that he can.
He's
that
like,
he can be back at
like
the winery.
Yeah, I like you, but you're pretty far away, so we're not going to work out.
Yeah.
So when is that event? That vertical tasting?
November 11th, Saturday, November 11th.
Okay.
So it's right here in Sonoma. It's on Shelville Road, just off of 8th Street East. Okay. It's the Girl in the Fig has a catering.
Oh, their catering spot.
Yeah, Sweet Tea.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So it's there. Okay. So it's pretty cool. All the stuff's online on our website and all the information.
People can book tickets directly from you guys on your website.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, and that sounds like a great thing. I think if I was having a special occasion coming up, or even a non-special occasion, get some friends together and do. How often are you gonna do like that kind of tasting?
We do them about once a year.
Yeah,
we do a Sweet Tea dinner.
Okay.
It's our wine club members come to them pretty frequently, but it's also open to the public. And this will be my first one, and some poor wine club member is going to get stuck with me at their table instead of Marta, and that's going to be a problem.
What you can do though is if you're bombing, just play this podcast, because once we get through the editing method, you'll sound like $1 million. That'll be great. You're like,
just put my phone up and walk away.
Yeah, okay. I might be terrible in person, but check out I was on this.
Sounds
podcast.
like a great plan. I'll do that.
One thing I did a little bit of research before you walked in, and I was on the About Us section of their website. Scott and Marta Rich. What I love is that he had his first exposure to winemaking from some Greek friends who made wine in their basement in Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
which sounds very like Prohibition era. Right, these Greek people are living in the middle of the Mormondom there.
Yeah,
and they're like, we have to go in our basement and make wine.
That's the one thing that struck me about that whole story too, was the whole Salt Lake City piece.
Like in Salt Lake City making wine there, and then he went to UC Davis, blah blah blah. But then his wife, who's from Minnesota, they also made wine in their basement in Minnesota, which is my wife's from the Midwest, and making your own wine and making any of your own hooch is a very Midwestern thing to do.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law has made wine, beer, and then some like 7,000 proof Applejack stuff that I didn't know what it was, and he poured it for me. And I drank it thinking it was like water. And
probably a sipping
holy
situation.
Moly. Yeah, I like saw the Lord and Savior. I was going crazy. And I said, Tommy, you have to warn people. And then I said, Tommy, how did you get your hands on a still? And Midwesterners like, oh, I welded one together in my garage.
Of course.
I'm
yes.
I don't think you should tell people about that.
Yeah, she'll tell. She has no memory of a life without wine in it.
Interesting.
Just from
being young,
and being really young, and then making wine in their basement.
Well, and you can, if someone can, and people listening, you can make wine at home with a bucket and grapes. It will not be good wine, but you can make wine with a bucket and grapes.
Yeah, you can even buy crushed juice. Basically.
Oh yeah, they have. They used to sell like frozen bricks or something like that. You can rehydrate. They can buy the juice.
Yeah,
but you can do all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah,
or you can just go to Talisman Wines.
Yeah, you can go to Talisman and just get something that we know is good. Yeah.
And nearby, I think in Glen Ellen, just real quickly, Talisman Winery. You mentioned, I think earlier, you've got Bettina's down there at Laurel Glen. Wine Snobs up the hill. There's a whole bunch of other wine.
Passaggio,
Schermeister's there.
Eric Ross.
Eric Ross, thank you. So
and then in the other direction, Mayo.
Oh, Mayo's there, of course.
Up towards Highway 12, and then Kenwood's right around the corner.
Right. So there's a lot of different smaller family-owned wineries.
Yeah.
Right there, and it's kind of worth exploring. Most people come to Sonoma. A lot of people come to the plaza. They walk around the plaza. A lot of people just go up on Highway 12, but it's worth getting off the beaten path a little bit.
Absolutely.
And exploring some of these smaller guys over there.
I think it's interesting. I've been in the business a long time, and I've worked at a lot of different properties, and there are places you can go to and get the whole sort of, wow, this view is fantastic, and these wines are great, and the whole experience, and that's great too. There's nothing wrong with that. But these little sort of off the beaten path places, you tend to discover things that you wouldn't otherwise discover.
Right.
And what I've been really struck by since I started at Talisman, and I came up in the wine club part of the business back in the mid 90s, and before I sort of started managing all of what they call direct to consumer or consumer sales, I was managing wine clubs, and I've never ever been around a wine club that has such a universal love for the ownerships and vice versa. It's like any other business. It's like the office of the consumer complaint, right? It goes right up to the boss. So
right, he's right there.
I don't ever get those calls. Everyone's so happy because Marta's just such an engaging person, and they just love being around.
How big is the wine club?
That's not huge.
You're not a big
people. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not a big winery. No, No. Like, are you distributed on shelves?
We are about 8 states. So California, and then a lot in the Northeast.
Okay.
In fact, that's why Marta's not here today. And
on the road.
You get me. She's on a train in Connecticut somewhere, I think. So. She'll be back.
She's like knocking on like commuters' shoulders, like, no, do you want to buy wine?
No. She's got 32 years of that kind of sales experience. So she's got plenty of people she can talk to in New York City and all this other.
That's always a big market, like New York, Connecticut, the Tri-State area, the Chicago, the Dallases. Yeah. I was in Houston once for a show with some winemakers, and every waiter there knew the barrel cost of oil. They all knew, because that was like the indicator of who was going to come in and buy what. And I thought, that's really interesting. Right?
Well, yeah, they know their business.
They know their business. That's the way there is to it. If people wanted more information about Talisman Wines, and especially to book that dinner, what is your website?
It's talismanwine.com, wine with no S.
Okay, so, singular wine, but they're all singular and fantastic.
Yes, exactly.
And Talisman, talismanwine.com.
Correct.
And people can book right there and find more information.
It's on the events page. There's a button for the ticket, and it's pretty simple.
And they can join the wine club?
They can join the wine club on the website, but we'd like to see them come in. Given the up-close and personal experience.
What I love about Glen Ellen, let's go back to it real quick. Some restaurants, I think they waive corkage, or they have special deals, or they used to, with bottles. I'm not sure that's true. I probably shouldn't even brought that up. But
I don't know.
I think, some of them do something like that. So usually in the winter.
I mean, it's not an uncommon practice in wine country, broadly speaking, to waive corkage if you're bringing in, well, the corkage thing is a little tricky, right? So there's a couple rules around it. One is if you bring a bottle of wine in that's already on the restaurant's wine list, you don't do that. And then the other one is that if you're hoping for free corkage at a winery, say in Sonoma, you probably shouldn't bring a wine from Napa or Paso Robles or something. Right. Maybe bring a wine from Sonoma.
Bring in something local down the street.
Yeah, exactly.
And always share a little bit with
the waiter.
Try that right there. All right. We're at that point now. Are you ready, Rob, where we're going to help?
I guess I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
So just a quick introduction for those that don't know. We have 2 visitor centers. People call, people text, people put on Facebook. They ask us all sorts of questions. I have this wonderful staff of volunteers that can answer it. You're going to help in a section we call We Get Questions.
Okay.
Here we go.
Good luck with that.
You haven't seen these?
No, I have not seen these.
But you've lived in the North Bay a long time.
I've lived in Santa Rosa since '91.
All right. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Ready?
No, not even a little bit.
This one's easy then. Here's a softball for you.
Okay.
And we got this one from someone who was on Facebook asking, because they're planning on coming at this time. What's the weather like in December?
What is the weather like in December? It varies, honestly. Last year was rainy all winter long, but plenty of Decembers before that. It was dry and a little bit cool, but not like frigid. I'd say low 50s, high 40s.
When you say cool, let's put that into context.
Right.
If you're from Chicago,
it's warm.
Yeah.
It's a December. It's a warm December.
It's a warm December.
Yeah. It's it's pretty, at nighttime it might get down to or close to freezing, but it's broadly speaking, it's at least in the last 6-7 years, it's mostly been dry.
I'm right now, I'm doing what I would do at the visitor center while you talk. I'm Googling it, right? Yeah. Somebody's Sonoma average temp December. And let's see. Because I think you're right.
Yeah.
You are really good.
I was just guessing.
Average is like 60 or 58 to 60. Low is 37.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Sounds about right.
That's fine. So all you really need is a light jacket, if you want. And
it's T-shirt weather for some people.
It is T-shirt weather. And if that's the average, because we had plenty of days where it's like 65.
For sure.
I've been out hanging Christmas lights sweating.
Yeah,
right?
I have too.
And then other times it's a little chill, but it's like you put a sweater on, and it's nice, you get the fire going.
Yeah, well, it depends on where you're from too, right? It reminds me of a story. When I worked at Sterling, I don't know if you've ever been to Sterling in Calistoga, but they have this big sort of deck that overlooks the valley southbound, and there were days when it was 110 degrees, and you'd walk out there and you'd see people, and we're just like, why are you out here? Well, I'm from Oklahoma, and this is nothing. It's dry heat, It's like, well, it's really, you're not getting any service from me today out here.
I know. I'll be inside. Come on and ask me. Here's some water, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, good. So we know in December, and I should say that, our winters, we are Mediterranean climate, so usually the only time we get any kind of precipitation, and it usually only falls in the form of rain, is really November, December, January, February, March, and then kind of tapers off.
Yeah.
Last year was an extraordinary year.
Last year was unusual, I'd say, for sure.
5 years before that, wow.
Not drought.
Yeah.
No rain, basically.
No rain. Yeah. Bad for Tahoe, but good for us.
Yeah, but I think you have it nailed right. It doesn't really start raining until mid-November if it's going to rain at all, and by the time we're into mid-March, it's pretty much done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one we got. People ask us about Glen Ellen. You know Glen Ellen.
A little bit. Know. I've been there working for 3 whole months. So
here's the question: is Glen Ellen a village, a hamlet, a townlet, or an outpost?
I'd say it's a village.
It's a village? All right.
Yes.
It is a village.
It is a village. Although when you drive into town, someone has the sign that says Glen Ellen, someone has put a paper, whatever it said underneath it now says town.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. I think it said City of Glen Ellen or Town of Glen Ellen or something. Yeah, someone.
I'm not sure. Someone did some midnight,
I love that.
Maintenance.
Well, there's also someone, you have a local mascot called the Glen Alien.
I did not.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen this? Oh, yeah. So the Glen Alien is an alien who encourages people to slow down. And so if you look at some of the signs, there's this green alien, like a spaceship-looking guy, saying, slow down, the Glen Alien. So, yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't seen that guy, frankly. I commute into that town, that village.
You go over the
5
back
days
to
a
Napa
week?
Valley? You go
No,
back?
I mean, sometimes I do, but usually I just come down Highway 12. So
Right.
that guy's going to get me at some point.
He's going to find you.
I guess.
The Glen Alien's going to find you.
Yeah.
We actually already answered this one, which is what is a vertical tasting? And
Yeah.
you stated, what I remember.
Yeah, different vintages, same wine, basically. In our case, it's the same vineyard, but
Same vineyard.
Any other, if it's a reserve Cabernet from X winery, it's always different vintages, same wine.
Is there a horizontal tasting?
There probably is, but it's not a term you hear.
No?
I've never heard that term.
And no diagonal tasting.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what you do.
We better
right?
talk to our geometry teacher.
Horizontal tasting is what we really do in tasting rooms, right?
Yeah,
So next week we have our wine club pickup party for our club members, and we're pouring 3 19s from different vineyards.
So that would be a horizontal tasting.
We just don't call it that.
I like that. Thank you.
Okay,
good. New trend.
Okay, you make sure you lock that term down.
I'm going to hurry up and reserve that URL right
exactly.
now. Okay. Hello. We're looking for a good place for a quiet meal. We don't like loud places.
A quiet meal.
Quiet meal. What's a quiet place? Or what's that movie, A Quiet Place?
Yeah, we don't want that.
That's terrifying.
Quiet meal.
A quiet meal. Where just quiet?
In what? Yeah. Where?
Open. Yeah, I mean, a good place for a quiet meal.
It's not really my style, so it's like
you're just like one of those.
I need some noise. Yeah.
Will you pass the pasta, Mom?
No, maybe not that bad. I'm not talking about TGI.
Yeah,
Fridays,
well, here's one I know. Layla is at MacArthur Place, and they have a private room, and Layla itself is quiet. There's an outdoor patio that can be quiet, but they also have a private dining area you can reserve that can be quiet.
Right. What about the place that Stone Edge Farm opened in downtown Sonoma?
Edge. It's going under. That's a classic place. It'll be very quiet and refined. And you could not yell, "Pass the pasta, Mom!" No, you could not do that. And I think that's a great one. I think they're doing some renovations right now, but it can't be quiet, so that's another good spot. Sante at the Fairmont has like that kind of quiet aspect.
Yeah.
I think any of your finer dining places will be quiet.
Most of those. I mean, there's Glen Ellen Star, though it is Michelin rated, is not that. It's pretty.
No, it's a raucous fun time.
Yeah, it's a raucous fun time.
I mean, the kitchen's open. You can see them right there.
You can.
Areas like Slingin Pizzas, or I've seen them take Dungeness crab out of that thing, and all sorts of crazy places. So.
Yeah, so that's a great place to get into if you can get into it, but it's not quiet.
It's not quiet. Okay, that's good. But I think so look for the higher end places. Usually in restaurants, will be a little bit quieter. And I might say Cafe La Haye, it can be where there's a lot of people in there in Sonoma, because it's a small spot right here off the plaza, but it can be quiet too because it's like more subdued. It's not like a party scene or something like that. We don't need DJs in restaurants. What was going on?
I mean, even Salt and Stone on Highway 12 is more subdued in that way. It's a bigger spot, and they have a bar eating area that's not so quiet, but the restaurant itself is pretty. Yeah.
There's something to be said for quiet meals.
There is.
It's like we've had silent discos. Why not the silent meal? We're sitting there eating by ourselves. Like we're bringing back, the Hungry Man TV dinner. By yourself, just being quiet, just silent.
I'm okay with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'll pair it with some wine. Yeah. This is a hot take. Ready? Children at wine tastings, yes or no?
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I used to say when I was taking more reservations than I do now, I used to say, your kids are fine as long as they're on a leash. And And I said that facetiously because you say that about dogs all the time, right?
Of course.
And so I said that in the sense that what I mean by that is you don't have to physically be on a leash, but they can't be running around disrupting.
But what
people.
happened? Did anyone bring their kid on a leash?
No.
I do have children. They're older now.
Yeah, same.
At first time you see a kid on a leash, you're like, that's a horrible idea. Until you have your own 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And you're like, that man's a genius.
Yeah. No, I always said it, and I sort of qualified it and said, as long as they're not running around disrupting other people's tastings, it's fine,
Right. Okay.
Keep them close. And I will say this though, depending on the age of the kid, they tend to get pretty bored.
Yeah.
We used to, when I worked for a year at Sterling in the Tasting before I moved into wine club management, and that place was it's got a gondola that goes up to the top. So back then, when it was $5 to get in, that was the bone that people threw their kids. They would say, hey, if you're good all day,
we can go on the gondola.
We'll go on the gondola.
Where did that gondola go?
It's still there.
Just went up the hill though, right?
It goes up the hill and then comes back down. That's how you access the tasting room.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, unless you're scared of heights, they'll take you up in the van. It's true.
How far is it above the ground in the gondola?
Yeah, it's nothing like, it's just like being at a ski resort.
Ski resort? Okay.
Yeah.
But that's snow underneath at a ski resort.
This is true.
Yeah, it's
not
like
rocks.
It's like the rock. Yeah, it's like volcanic schist.
Yeah, exactly.
I said schist. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Final question.
Okay.
When will the leaves start changing in the vineyards?
Now they have.
Okay.
They're dropping now.
Okay, you've seen that.
Yeah. So they're. I was telling you about how we're doing some filming for the winery, and we got very little footage of vineyards with green leaves, even when the grapes were still on the vine. This was a very unusual year in terms of timing from a harvest perspective, but the grapes ripened and the leaves were already almost
it goes
fall
fast.
colors, and then they were off.
Yeah, I've been watching it on the drive up by Kenwood, the left-hand side where the white barn is, and it's perfect. I'm just driving, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, it's all turned red all of a sudden, and it's quick. And I think once the plant throws off the grapes, it knows the time. No more energy needed. Let's go to dormancy.
Completely.
So get ready for it. But we have it roughly runs in a usual year, mid-October to kind of like end of November, depending on the varietal, which is very interesting. The different types of grapes will turn at different times, but you get this neat tapestry. And as you drive north from Glen Ellen at Cundy Winery, they have this beautiful hill, right?
And you used to work there?
Oh, you did? Okay. And so when the sun is setting, it hits it just perfectly. It's like a quilt
it really does.
up against there, and that's just a beautiful way to do it. Further south in the Carneros region, up at Vianza or Jacuzzi or Gloria Ferrer, it goes down towards the bay.
Yeah.
And that's also another beautiful place to see the colors.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, this year was really accelerated, but it tends to be it doesn't mirror like fall in other regions, but it's it's got a pretty lengthy.
It's a different type of thing.
Pretty nice,
we're not like
runway.
New England, where all of a sudden it's all maple syrup and cold and hot cocoa,
right?
And
but
cider.
it's beautiful, and if you catch it, like you said, if you catch it at the right time when there's all these different colors and shades, and some vineyards are still green, and some are yellow, and some are bare, and then it's pretty interesting.
It is nice, and then it starts turning green underneath when the cover crop comes out. But that's a whole other story.
It is.
Rob, it's been wonderful having you on here. You are a font of information.
I try. I don't know.
You've been doing this once or twice for your.
Well, I've been known to make some stuff up.
And I think the Atascadero, whatever they were, the Atascadero Pandas. I don't know what their high school is.
The Greyhounds.
The Greyhounds definitely missed out on having you, but I'm glad that you became a wine person too. Really, the Greyhounds. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Again, if people want information about the winery. What is the website again?
Talisman Wine with no S, talismanwine.com. That's TALISMAN.
Wine.com. And you've got that Russian River vertical tasting happening November 11th.
Russian River vertical dinner. It's a 5-course dinner. Happens on Saturday the 11th. So it's about 5. It starts at 5:30, probably be over about 10.
Okay. Yeah. And it's at the Girl in the Fig Suite D, so it's off 8th Street East. Not the main Girl in the Fig, also a fantastic restaurant, but at their special event center off 8th Street East, which means you can stay in Sonoma or in Glen Ellen or in Kenwood or in the Springs.
Simple.
And get right there. Well, hey, thank you so much for stopping by. Yeah. This has been fantastic. And if you've listened this far, and thanks for listening so far. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Saturday, November 18th is the lighting of the plaza, so come out to that a week after you go to the Talisman Wine event. And hope everyone's doing well. Dad, I hope you're feeling better. And guys, we will see you next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.